ठीक है, 274 people.
Also, I would like to put on Facebook because there are a lot of users waiting on the Facebook. And then we are starting in a minute. All right. Sharma ji, are you able to hear us? All right. Good evening, everybody. And we are starting short now. And first of all, I would like to introduce Honorable Randhir Ji Jaiswal. So our Council General New York, and you all probably know that India and Indian diaspora in USA are getting a lot of positive and encouraging global media coverage in terms of India emerging as fast growing global power in terms of political, economic, climate control, and strategic defense alliances, and Indian diaspora as a productive force contributing to the strength of America. And our Council General has played a significant role to accomplish this. Our Honorable Council General Randhir Jaiswal ji is a career diplomat, and he has 2 decades of diplomatic career so far. He has served in Portugal, Cuba, South Africa, and the permanent mission of India in New York. In between his overseas assignment while in New Delhi at the Ministry of External Affairs, looking after India's relation with United States, Western European countries, and before coming to New York, he as a joint secretary served the President of India managing his international relation portfolio. Very passionate about youth potential as a hope for future in India and outside India, as a builder of India's image culture, his interaction with community and his enthusiasm for our community to interact with the mainstream has endeared him with the community to that extent that even on work fronts he is seen meeting people, academics, policy maker. He's always helping positive and accommodating nature. He's admired by all those who met him. It is our honor and privilege to invite our Honorable Council General Randhir Jaiswal ji to convey his message to our community. Over to.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma.
Thank you so much.
Namaste to one and all. It is a delight for me to be interacting with so many people. I see some 335, 340 people have joined in this Zoom interaction, and many would be following through Facebook Live. I have not had a chance so far because of the pandemic to come and see you in person in Connecticut and other places, but we have had an opportunity to connect with Milan USA, led by Mr. Suresh Sharma, on several occasions in the past, on 15th August and thereafter as well. You know, the pandemic, we are in the middle of a pandemic, and everybody has been impacted in one way or the other. The good news here in the United States is that the vaccination rates are on the higher side. Some over 110, 120 million people have already been vaccinated. In India, a few hours back, I think yesterday, we crossed 5 crore, that is 50 million people who have been vaccinated. Now, from 1st of April, we are also opening vaccination drive in India for people above the age of 45. So hopefully, we are going to pick up steam. And hopefully by summer of this year, we'll have some 300 million people vaccinated. Now, if you cover a population of 300 million people, mostly who are mobile, etc., it would add a lot of strength to the economy, and we can hopefully begin a normal life soon. Having said that, on the COVID front, while vaccination drive is on, and we were in February very hopeful that the rates have gone down, we have suddenly seen a spike, especially in the state of Maharashtra, Mumbai, and around Nagpur, etc. So one has to be careful, one has to be watchful. I guess for that reason, we have so far not opened the country to international travel fully. Tourism visa, tourist visas still continue to be suspended. There are concerns about South African variant and Brazilian variant as well. You would have seen in the news the kind of fatality Brazil is experiencing, and that is a cause of concern for all of us. So that's on the COVID side. The other side where we are focused is the economy. It looks good that this year India will experience double-digit growth. We are hopeful, and so is IMF, OECD, and other global platforms. The following year, 2022, is a very important year for India. We'll be celebrating 75 years of our independence on 15th August 2022. That will be a big occasion, and we look forward to your support and collaboration in the events that we organize here in the United States in celebration of our freedom. On 12th March, the Prime Minister of India launched the India at 75 celebrations, titled Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav from Sabarmati Ashram. We chose 12th March because that was the day when Mahatma Gandhi launched salt satyagraha against the British rule in India. So that is one big agenda which is coming up, where we would like the support of our community members, our organizations going forward. We now, of course, we have a new US administration. A few weeks back, we had the first summit level meeting of the Quad, that is between the United States, Australia, Japan, and India, focused on the Indo-Pacific. The Quad is a positive construct with a positive agenda. It is to bring peace, progress, and prosperity in that region, in the Indo-Pacific. It is to help people to deal with the pandemic, to strengthen vaccination drive, to provide humanitarian relief, to work with new technologies, and to deal with climate change. Many of you who would be interested in what the Quad has to do in the days ahead, you can have a look at the joint statement that was issued and has been posted by the White House. But the meeting was very fruitful, and it adds a lot of strength and value to India-US collaboration. As far as our priority areas with the United States government is concerned, there are 5 key areas where we see there'll be a lot more focus going forward. One is climate change and renewable energy. Many of you would have learnt about the largest renewable energy park that we established recently in India in the state of Gujarat. It is a park which produces 30 gigawatts of renewable energy power, that is 30,000 megawatts of power, both from solar and wind. So it's a combination of solar and wind project. So renewable energy and climate change, we will see a lot more action. That is field number 1. Field number 2 is education and knowledge partnership. 3 is digital space and innovation and startup. 4th is the health, pharmaceutical, and the vaccine, and dealing with health challenges and the pandemic, etc. That's the 4th piece. And the 5th piece is defense, security, and a strategic partnership, including in the Indo-Pacific. Underlying all this, of course, is the most important part of our relationship, people-to-people ties, of which you are part, and we seek your support, your cooperation in propelling all these key pillars and all that we do in the India-US Connect. We've also seen on the economic front, we've undertaken several key reforms, transformative reforms, be it in the areas of labor, in the areas of farm, produce, bureaucracy, taxation, opening up areas which were earlier the preserve of the public sector, just only the public sector, such as space. We have taken reforms in the field of civil aviation, financial services, food processing, so on and so forth. So our march as far as the economic reform is concerned continues. So a lot is happening both on the economic space and on the health space. So this was sum and substance of what we are doing in the Indo-US cooperation and how things are going to go forward with the new Biden administration. Now I look forward to hearing from our community members. I know there are a lot of challenges when it comes to traveling to India presently. Those challenges also you have to understand is on account of the pandemic. There are concerns on several sides, but we do understand that given the people-to-people links, parents back home, families back home in India, there is a need, there are emergencies to be met, etc. And we are trying to do our best to resolve all people issues that we encounter and that we hear of. So with that, I will stop here, and then we can take our discussion forward. So thank you very much. And once again, a very warm namaste to all of you. And I look forward to meeting you hopefully soon. I'm not sure many of you would have been vaccinated, and many would be receiving your vaccination soon, but hopefully we can meet each other and meet our team sooner than later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So as we see that because we have a lot of registered, like right now 455 users and keep joining, so we got a lot of questions. So we have done homework from our side and we have categorized. So can we go like first OCI, and certainly people are chatting. So I'm doing my homework, and if something is not covered. So under the OCI category, there are several questions, but those are in the different categories. So I would like to go one, what is the new OCI change? A lot of discussion going on in the media. So a lot of folks wanted to know what is the new OCI change. Then I am going with the OCI category, and then I think you can take it. One is going with the timeline for new and renewal. What is the timeline? How much time it takes for new OCI and in order to renew it? Third point under the OCI category is when we are submitting the OCI, is that photocopy is sufficient, or in order to submit the original document like a passport, but people are hesitant to submit the passport. So please clarify us. And the next category is, I hope, OCI renewal beyond June, because currently the OCI is valid until June. There was a advisory, but because of that, the OCI processing is taking long. Then what will happen beyond June if somebody is planning to visit India after this pandemic? We are hoping that we will move into endemic. And OCI change by age category. What about 2050s? OCI with new passport when we are traveling. And if OCI is in progress, what about the visa to travel? So these are the general question. Hope this helps and give you the overall, and then you can cover, and then we will move to the next segment. Is that okay?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
So first on the new notification on the OCI, there is only one change. Farmhouses has been added to the list of things that you could not buy in India. So earlier you had plantation property and agricultural property which could not be bought by OCI holders. To that, we have added farmhouses. And the reason for that was that many people were buying agricultural land, passing on them off as farmhouses. So that is the only substantial change that has happened in the OCI notification. Rest, All that is there has been there. It has been put together and put in one document. So, Mr. Sharma, what I'll do is that we have the latest Gazette notification. I can send it across to you and you can circulate it to all members.
That will be great. Thank you, sir. And because we have all
On the other
registered
issue,
users.
we know where, in the media, a lot of thing has been written is that, OCI will not be valid for research, for journalism,
For journalism.
for research, journalism, and for mountaineering, and there was one other category.
Tablighi.
Tablighi works. Now, for these categories, we always had this provision that even if you have an OCI card, you have to take permission to do these activities. So if you are an OCI card holder and if you want to go to India and to carry out journalistic activities, you have to take permission. If you are here, you should take permission here. If you are in India, you must take permission in India.
Thank you, sir.
Similarly is the case with mountaineering expeditions. If you are an OCI card holder and you want to go to Nanda Devi or somewhere in the Himalayas, that is not permitted. There are valid reasons for that as to why it is not permitted. And therefore, if you are going for trekking or in the high altitude of the Himalayas, mountaineering, etc., we would request you that please seek a visa or a special permit to go there. And that permission will be granted, just that you have to go through the process. Similarly, for missionary activities, OCI card is not valid. If you are going to India for missionary activities, you have to apply for permission for a special visa. So these provisions were already there. They have been put together and updated. And research. Earlier also, for if you're going to India, doing research in India, then you have to have a special permission. So these provisions were there in earlier notifications. What has been done is that, and several notifications have been issued since 2005, all these things have been put together in one page, one paper, in one notification, and that is what you have as the latest guideline. Only change, I repeat, only addition is that farmhouses has been added to the list of things that you could not buy earlier. So you cannot buy agricultural land, you cannot buy plantation property, and you cannot buy farmhouses. Apart from that, if you own a land in India, you have a property in India, you can buy property in India, you can sell property in India. Thank you. Now coming to the other question regarding new OCI cards and renewal of OCI cards, I'll ask my colleague to answer. And we'll also ask him to answer questions about renewal beyond 30th of June.
Hello, everybody. The timelines are the same as New York always had. It's 21 days on receipt of the documents at the consulate. It's still, it's there, and maybe the delay is hardly 1 or 2 days. So you can take it as 23 to 25 days. So the renewal process, the timeline for new, fresh OCI is 25 days on receipt of the documents at the consulate. Please, the time taken at the VFS center should not be counted. So once the application reaches the consulate, it will not take more than 25 days. And for the renewal, of course, the renewal is the easiest process. Once the document comes, within a week, you will get back the documents, OCI renewal.
On that, let me come back. We take 3 weeks because all your documents go to India for approval in new OCI cases. In case of renewal, the renewal happens here because we have to only change your particulars and transport them to a new booklet. So that renewal happens here. For that reason, we take a day or 3 days here. That's a local issue. For that reason, we have a shorter time frame.
Sir, in this OCI category, there was... Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So there was another question.
On the issue of passport.
Yeah.
Yes.
एक मिनट पहले हम लोग बात कर लेते हैं, फिर आपको जो बचेगा आप उसको हाईलाइट करें.
Original passports का बता देते हैं. Yeah, it's mandatory to send the original passports for the verification to VFS center. The original passports are never comes to the consulate. VFS center verifies it and sends it back to you. But
passport, as of now, passport is required for you to send.
Okay, so
along with a photocopy which is notarized.
Okay, Thank you so much, because that was a lot of question that people wanted to know, that when they have created the form or online, after that sending the photocopies, along with that they must need to send the passport. Okay, that helps. And what about the June,
Yeah.
beyond June?
Sorry.
June 30th, right now, it stands like June, up to June 30th, you can travel with the OCI card and old passport. And we are still awaiting the instructions from ministry, and we will update you as we get it.
And there was a question
See,
that
what is happening is that you have an OCI card. The OCI card has a reference of your earlier passport because you have not renewed it. If you happen to be in such a situation, then our request is that you travel with the old passport, which is there mentioned in your OCI, along with the new passport. So carry the old and the new, and then it is fine. In the meantime, our request to all of you would be that if you have to renew a passport, your OCI card, please do so.
Yeah, I think that was a question, that if OCI is in progress and somebody would like to travel, then will they need to apply for emergency visa?
Yes, please.
Yes, you have to take an emergency visa.
All right. And the second set of question is related to renunciation, that can renunciation and OCI apply together, or first get renunciation then OCI?
So, hello everyone, this is Shatrughan Sinha, Deputy Consul General. Earlier we could apply parallelly, concurrently, but with VFS it is not possible right now. However, we have requested VFS to devise a mechanism where both OCI and renunciation applications could be processed parallelly. Very soon we are going to introduce it, maybe in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you so much, because there were a lot of questions from the community that renunciation is taking 4 to 5 months, and they got stuck and they are not able to apply OCI. So their renunciation application is pending 4 to 5 months.
No, I think that is incorrect. 4 to 5 months for renunciation applications seems to be too much on the higher side to be believable. But what will happen is, if a person can apply for both renunciation and OCI cards parallelly, then it will save some time, of course, because the application process for OCI takes normally 3 weeks once it reaches us. And if parallelly the renunciation application is also processed, then that extra week or couple of weeks for renunciation application processing, that will not be required. So that is our aim as well. But I think 4 to 5 months is not correct.
No, this is a misinformation that renunciation process takes 4 to 5 months. I don't know who's telling you, but it is not correct. From the time the application reaches us, I can tell you renunciation happens within a couple of days. 2 days, 3 days, could be 4 days, could be 5 days if there is pressure. What has happened in the last few months is that in November onwards, we've shifted from Cox and Kings to VFS, and there have been a lot of problems because of COVID as well. Even as we speak, we have had a COVID outbreak in the New York VFS center, and I'm sure I think that the center will be closed for a couple of days at least. Today they had a team from the health department to inspect them, and they have to follow the mandatory guidelines of the New York State.
Thank you, sir. And that was our understanding, but I got a couple of questions. So I thought that, because somebody said 4 months and somebody was saying that it took me 5 months, and because of renunciation, we are not able to process our OCI. So that helps.
Many of the travel agents may be telling you this. Please don't believe that.
All right. And now I am moving to the next section, because in the renunciation, there was a question, if not renunciated, then what is the penalty means? Because if it is an old passport, something, can you please guide us or some advice?
I must This is not to encourage that you carry two passports, but there have been certain changes in our regulations. We are not imposing any penalties these days, but I take this opportunity to request anyone who has acquired US nationality to renounce the Indian passport, even if the person doesn't need or doesn't want an OCI card, because India does not approve of dual nationality. And at some stage, there may be problems, not only on the Indian side, but also on the US side. So it is always good to have only one passport if you are an Indian origin person.
That helps. And now the next segment of this, we got some question on the visa. And there are a lot of questions that there is an existing visa, also e-visa. And right now we have emergency visa. So these are the different visa. But if somebody wants to travel in the situation like sick, death, or urgent travel, may not be the health related, but there are other scenarios, then what are the guidelines in order to travel right now in this pandemic situation?
So all OCI card holders can travel to India. We have all visas good to go for India except tourist visa. So if you have a business visa, for example, employment visa or a journalist visa, you are good to go. But tourist visas, and which most of our people have here, 10-year business visa, 10-year tourist visa, that is suspended. Now, if you have to travel in emergency to India, if it is a death case, please come to the consulate. We'll give you the visa same day. Otherwise, if you have an emergency coming up in India and you think that you will have to travel, please visit our website. On the first page itself, on the right-hand side, you'll see a ticker on visa. Please go through the regulations, please, and ship your documents to us. We here, because of the pressure we have, we take some 4, 5 days, 6 days, and then do your visa and ship the document back to you. We don't want everybody to come to the consulate. Please come to the consulate only if it is an extremely urgent case, such as it happens during, unfortunate incident of a death, etc. So if you need emergency visa, please plan your travel. Give us some time. What is happening right now, the courier company is also, they're not the most efficient. So that burden is transferred on us. The courier company, FedEx, UPS, USPS, they take the document and the packet from us. They do not update their details on the net. And then, our people start calling us as to where his or her passport is, etc. So, but on our side, if your packet reaches us by overnight courier, you will get back. Your packet will leave the consulate within 5 to 6 days. Over and above, if there is any delay, that delay happens on account of the courier company. So emergency visas, if anybody requires to go to India, please visit our website. On the right-hand corner, you will see all the stipulations for emergency visa. Please ship in your documents by overnight express with a return label for express courier back to you, and we shall do the needful.
And there were some questions, sir, regarding this e-visa. So
e-visa is suspended, so it is not in operation right now.
Right, and I hope that in our understanding that if someone has a visa on old passport, then they need to carry both passport, old and new, because there were some questions. But I want
e-visa to hoga nahi na. E-visa was suspended last year.
जी.
The validity of e-visa is only 6 months, I understand.
Yes.
Or 2 years.
It can be longer also.
You may have e-visa which is of longer duration, but e-visa is no good right now. E-visa you get in your email. There's a barcode.
Right. So next segment of this questions are from the passport. So basically that someone is saying that what is the timeline, because someone communicated that they are waiting since November, not sure that the reason. And someone is saying that if our passport expiring in 2 months, what is the advisable to travel before expiry? When they should apply to renew the passport? And the third, there was a question that if someone lost the Indian passport, then how they can get new?
There are a number of questions in this one question, but for the lost passport, you can apply for renewal with a copy of the passport and a police report. Losing a passport doesn't mean that you will be debarred from getting a passport. The person can apply under the lost category. There's no problem regarding that. Regarding how much time, if the documents are all right, we should be able to give you a new passport within a couple of weeks. But you must, as CG also mentioned, there are delays because of COVID outbreaks. There have been COVID outbreaks at the consulate. There have been COVID outbreaks at VFS. But despite all these constraints, we are working day in, day out, and I think within a couple of weeks, if all the documents are all right, within a couple of weeks, passports should be granted. The case which you are mentioning has been pending since November. I am reasonably certain that it is because of some lack of documents or some deficiency. You can pass on that application number to us. We will look into it. But I must assure you that some of these pending cases or complex cases, we are also looking into those, and hopefully we'll be able to resolve all these cases very soon as well.
On the passport side, let me tell you that we have a lot of problems with single parent cases. And in single parent cases, majority of the time, the papers are not there, or the court order says a particular thing and we have to comply by that. But if one parent who's applying on behalf of the minor, he or she insists that we take notice of his or her request and do the passport, it is not, our hands are tied, legally speaking, and we cannot move forward. Many a times at Annexure D, which is an authorization for minor issue of passports to minors, that is where the problem lies. The father is sitting in India, the mother is sitting here, or vice versa, and there are complications on that account.
Yeah, in the same, I think there were some questions said that I renewed my passport. Do I have to carry my old passport along with the OCI book, or only OCI book is good enough to travel?
OCI is good to travel to India, but passport is an international document. You have to, when you're leaving a country, you have to carry your passport. Now, the issue is that when you are going to India on your OCI, the OCI, along with the OCI, should have your new passport and the passport with which a reference has been made. So if there is old passport which has been mentioned in the OCI, then you should travel along with the old passport, your new passport, and the OCI.
So I will just explain it a bit more. So what has happened is many people travel on new passports without carrying the old passport, and then the new passport's number is not mentioned in the OCI card. So if there is a mismatch between the passport which you are carrying and the passport number mentioned in the OCI card, then you may be denied entry in India. So it is always important to carry the old passport whose number is mentioned in the OCI card. Secondly, this facility of not traveling on renewed OCI is available only till 30th June. So I would request everyone to apply for renewal of OCI cards in case renewal is required. Just to reiterate that, everyone who is above 50 years needs to get a new OCI card if the person has acquired a new passport. All the minors, people below 20 years of age, they need to get their OCI cards renewed if they have acquired a new US passport. So between 20 to 50, no renewal is required. Please keep this in mind. And if there is a mismatch between the OCI card, passport number and the most recent passport, then please carry your old passport as well.
Also, if you've acquired your OCI after the age of 50, you don't need to renew your OCI card.
And sir,
all these guidelines are available on our website. So in case there is confusion, please do refer. It's not very complicated, but it is available. So you can all go to our website.
Thank you so much, sir. That helps a lot. And there are some questions on PIO. A lot of numerous questions that someone is saying our PIO card expire. Then do we need to apply for OCI? And so can you please just give us the guidelines for the PIO?
PIO cards need to be converted into OCI cards, and this Government of India has announced several times in the past. For many years, that has been the request from Government of India. Although we have been very flexible and lenient, and we have allowed the validity of PIO cards, it is it is of utmost necessity and urgency that anyone who is carrying PIO card, please get it converted into an OCI card.
But right now, if somebody is asking if they want to travel, is this PIO card still valid to travel?
A valid PIO card is acceptable, yes.
But इंतजार ना कीजिए, अभी एक ही चीज है OCI card. तो PIO card जितने लोगों के पास है, people who have in the past, please have it converted. You know, I think we have been saying this for the last. I remember when I was in South Africa, this policy was taken 2015 or so. So we've seen 5 years. 5 years has gone down. We have been telling people again and again across the world, various countries, to get your PIOs converted into OCI card. It is done here locally, so it is done locally. So
yes,
there's no issue about timelines also. We are within a short period of time, the OCI card can be given to you.
Thanks a lot, sir. And now there are a lot of questions, and some people send the scenario. Like in the OCI, it is mentioned that when they need to submit the original passport and send it to VFS, and some of the people send the scenario that they applied the OCI and got the email that email is received, but no response when they try to reach out to VFS, and they said that there is no application received, many application, and there are a lot of cases in such where VFS is responding that many applications are missing. Also, there are a bunch of questions related to the customer service, and there is a credit card charge that they say that 5 minutes, but that is later on charge money on the credit card. And response is also not proper. So there were a lot of bunch of questions in this, these things which I have just summarized it. So can you please throw light on these?
Regarding the acknowledgement for receipt of applications, as soon as the applications arrive at VFS and they just scan the envelope, so that email goes to the applicant. But it takes some time for them to process that application. Processing means they feed the data in their system. Ideally, we would have loved to have a one-day lag. I mean, if the application is received today, it should have been processed either today or maybe maximum by tomorrow. But that is not the case right now. There are delays from VFS in processing those applications. So because of that, that application is not entered into the system. And then if your application has been received at VFS today, and tomorrow if you call the call center and ask them what is the status of my application, the call center would not have any access to that data, and they would say that your application has not been received. So my request to everyone is to have some patience with VFS. They are also facing challenges, and they are also trying to streamline things. Regarding the call charges, we have time and again raised this issue with VFS. They have increased the free time for calls from 5 to 10 minutes. In case someone is being charged after 5 minutes, then please bring it to our notice. Secondly, if there is an exorbitant amount being charged for long calls, then we have also asked VFS to return money in several cases, and VFS has done that. We cannot do away with these call charges. These are a part of the contract, and VFS runs call centers to attend to these calls. But my sense is there is no question which cannot be answered within 5 minutes of the call. So if the call center person is not able to answer, then there is no point in hanging on to those calls. It is better to take these things in writing, but we ensure that VFS responds to all these emails and resolves these issues. But however, the basic point which I would like to make is we also need to have some patience. Let us not wait till the last minute when if you have planned travel next week and then you apply for OCI card today, then it may not be possible to give you the OCI card. Let us not wait till the passport expiry month before applying for renewal of passports. Plan your travel in advance. Look at your documents and apply as soon as possible.
Let me also tell you, people put in their application the same moment they send a Twitter message, the same day or the following day they post a message on Facebook, then they send an email, then they call up VFS. So our request to you would be that if you look at the website and if there are delays to be factored in, please be a little patient. These are not the best of times. These are not normal times. We are living in the middle of a pandemic. Also, we have a new service provider which is taking time to stabilize. But my own sense is that if the pandemic recedes and VFS gets little more into the business, into this process, we will have most of the issues ironed out. Already, most of the issues that you talked about, on many of those, there are some outstanding issues still to be addressed, especially on the customer interface side, and that we have a regular review meeting with them every week. Hopefully, we'll also be able to get over those issues sooner than later.
Thank you, sir. And there was a question. I'm just reading Ajiz. I am from Pakistan and my wife is from India. My son is an American-born US citizen. And he applied for Indian visa to meet his grandparents, but the Indian consulate rejected without any reason. They also charge visa fees. Why did it get rejected and can apply again?
Not rejected.
So I think it would not have been visa, but OCI.
No, okay. It would not have been rejected. That doesn't look like a correct information, because the visa would not have been rejected. It would have been under process, and it would have gone for approval. And as soon as we get the approval, visa will be issued.
All right.
So for people who have of Pakistan origin, we have visa application. We have to wait for approval from India, and that takes a little time. So maybe this information that you have is not correct. We not the visa, we have told.
Can you listen to us?
Now we are able to hear. There was a slight delay. All right, we are able to. And there was some question, right, that if this is really a delay on longer than expected, then whom they can reach out other than VFS? Is there any guidelines how they can communicate through the email?
No, there are several ways to reach out to us. Some of the emails are there on the website. We have Pramit dashboard, and we have a phone number on which you can call. VFS has a call center. VFS has email inquiry, email IDs. So there are different ways to reach out to us. All these details are available on the website. But again, my point is, many people, as CG also mentioned, many people are getting very impatient, and as soon as they file the application, submit the application, they want a status. Now the problem is, when we start checking for the status of all the applications, we are not able to process those applications. Our limited resources are diverted to finding those applications and checking their status. So there should be some patience on the applicant side. We are, unless there is a complexity in the case, within a week we should be able to process both passport as well as visa and OCI applications. But that I'm not including the time period taken by VFS. We are pushing VFS to reduce the pendency. They're quite close, but then again, as CG mentioned, they have had a COVID outbreak, and New York State Health Department has jumped in. So all these constraints are there. Our effort is to minimize the problems and process as many applications as we can.
Thank you so much, and thanks for taking these questions presently. Now I'm moving to the next segment of the questions, which is related to the travel. So there were a lot of questions that is there any airlines restriction, or the second part that because passenger need to take the COVID test and they need to upload, take the COVID test before within 72 hours and then upload in the Delhi or the other Indian website. But if someone get vaccinated, is there any provision or any guidelines that is still this is exempted, or they have to follow the same process, or any guidelines for the airlines?
There is no exemption. Even if the person has got 1 shot or 2 shots, RT-PCR test is a must, and that RT-PCR test should have been taken within 72 hours of boarding. Once you take that RT-PCR test, the request is to upload on a website. The website's address is given in the guidelines. Please, before traveling to India, please visit our website. There is a February 18 updated guidelines for international travelers to India, and that has all the details. Those guidelines have to be met. Otherwise, you may be denied boarding by the airlines.
And sir, is there any guidelines for number age, like under 18 or 18 plus, something like that? Or what about the minors?
Everyone has to have a negative RT-PCR test report.
Including minors?
And also, including minors, everybody.
Okay.
Also on the flights, there are 2 flights which connects India to the United States presently. One is Air India and the other is United Airlines. And our suggestion to the community members would be that please go by direct flight. If you go via third countries, then the third country may have some stipulation, etc., which may make your travel less than smooth. So please, our request to you and suggestion is that please take the direct flight to India.
And in the same line, there is a question that, sir, Emirates, JFK is rejecting travel if we travel with OCI having old passport number.
No, as I told you,
yes, sir.
OCI cards with old passport numbers, you need to carry the old passport. So most of the rejection would be in those cases. And we have made it clear since last year. We have again today also we have issued a press release. If you carry your OCI card, which has a different passport number, you just think about it. The immigration authority, the immigration officer sitting at the airport would not know that this is the same person because he carries a different passport. So there should be some connection. This is common sense, but many people land up at the airport with their OCI cards having old passport numbers and without their old passports. So that is creating a problem. I would again like to advise everyone to carry their old passports if the new passport number is not mentioned on the OCI card.
Thanks, sir. And there was a in the OCI list of document. So somewhere in online document instruction, I think it says upload and mail in renewal of OCI. It says passport and new passport and old passport. So is that means that we applicant need to upload both new and old passport?
Yeah.
Or is there any?
The new passport would definitely be required, but I'm not sure whether this old passport requirement is there. I can check, but right now I don't feel that the old passport.
Yeah, to us it appears that the question is not correct.
Maybe.
But we will check on this account.
Thank you, sir. That helps. And moving on to the next segment, that there was a question related to power of attorney. In order to get power of attorney, what is the guidelines and how people can get the power of attorney?
Website.
No, all the guidelines are available on the website, and it's very clearly and very explained in much detail. So I'm surprised that there is this question. There are two ways, in fact, to apply for these miscellaneous services. You can apply through Pramit or through ECCSS portal. There is an also opportunity to pay online. I don't see any confusion in those guidelines, but if it is very difficult for me to read out the whole guideline here.
Understood, sir. So thank you so much.
Please let me come in here. For the power of attorney, etc., please ask them to go to our website and miscellaneous consular services tab.
Thanks. That helps.
That
sir.
will give the full details.
All right. And I think that I got a couple of questions that even though when people has the RT-PCR test as we discussed, in that case, if they have COVID test within 72 hours, is still in Mumbai or any airport, is there any mandatory quarantine or they are good to go in family emergency?
नहीं, अगर आपके पास RT-PCR टेस्ट है तो घर जाइए आप.
You have to upload it on the website. So there may be cases that people do not upload. Then there is a problem. And the website is newdelhiairport.gov.in. It is given on our website. After getting the RT-PCR test, please upload it. And normally the approval comes within 24 hours. So before you land, you will get the approval.
Yes, and I just wanted to share my thought that my wife was traveled 2 times in the pandemic, and we have done the same thing. We uploaded that and we got 7 to 8 hours, and then she was good to go. Nobody has asked any questions. So thank you so much, and we have gone through the same experience. All right.
शर्मा जी, ट्विटर का जमाना है, लोग पढ़ते नहीं हैं, 8 शब्द में खेल हो जाता है. So my request would be that please take some time and read all the notifications and the regulations which are there on the website. People don't read. That's a problem today.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. And I understand because a lot of questions are kind of very repetitive. So thank you so much for taking. Now I am moving on to the next segment because there were some questions related to the property. I think that CG sir has covered in the beginning when OCI that what is changed, what is not changed. But there were some questions, and I can just give a how does new regulation affect the immobile property I already own and rent? Do I have to report any particular agency if I'm staying in India, something like that? So there were some questions related to the property.
No change.
All right.
No change from before.
Yes, sir.
Sharma ji, no change from before.
Thank you, sir. And now next segment is that there were some question which I think that can US citizen or OCI card holder get the Aadhaar card?
Anyone residing in India can get an Aadhaar card. So for getting an Aadhaar card, you have to stay in India. That is, that person can be a foreign national. Aadhaar is not a proof of citizenship, it's a proof of your residency in India.
Okay, and that helps. And again, I'm keep getting the question, because people are asking that if the baby is like a 15-month, 18-month old, how they can get the RT-PCR test? Any such scenario like that?
I don't know, 15 days old.
15-month,
15
like
month,
15, 18
15
months.
months old.
Yes. Yeah, couple of
Okay.
years. Yeah, 1 year, 2 years.
Then
like.
we'll have to, I don't know, we are at loss of word here. Maybe possibly a doctor would be, if there's a doctor here present, he or she would be in a better position to guide. But I mean, it's only about taking a nasal swab or swab from the tongue or something could be done. I don't know. I'm not very sure about that.
And Indian origin UK citizen, can they renew their OCI in USA?
Yes, they can.
All right. So they can apply, or is there any specific any other guidelines for them?
No, the same guidelines.
Same guidelines they can apply, and if we need the documents, they need to present the documents.
All right. So these are the high level question I have covered. Still I'm keep getting, because if we see that there are 500 and participants, even that is extended, and some of the folks are waiting outside, so they are pinging to join, but our Zoom limit was only 500. So this is really, and I'm still getting the question that there was a Canadian cannot get OCI in USA. How come? Is there was a same thing for the Canadian?
Everyone
yes.
can get an OCI in the US. They need to present documents which are required.
All right. So these are the high level, sir, I have covered. And certainly, I would request that if I missed anything, you would like to add to the audience, because there are a lot of people in the call.
Well, just one thing I would like to say that, there have been some problems with regard to passport, visas, etc. And that has happened on account of the pandemic. Everybody gets impacted, our services get impacted because of the virus, because of the threat of the virus. 2, we have had a change in a service provider, and that also has impacted our service. It has been now 4 months or so. They are taking a little more time in stabilizing. Hopefully, a month or 2 going into the summer, things will smoothen out more. Third thing I would like to say, that all the inefficiency of FedEx, UPS and USP is transferred to the consulate. Now, once we send the packet, the document out, people think that, we are the ones who are holding on to it. That's not the case. FedEx, VFS and UPS also is taking time in shipping your documents. You may think that it's an overnight courier, but they are also taking extra time. So these are things, all the things put together have delayed things, and that needs to be factored in. Also we have to be aware that, these are not normal circumstances. I can tell you for a fact the number of people who have traveled to India to attend marriages in the name of emergency. So, we seek your support and cooperation. It is about health of one and all. And also you have to be aware of the limitations that we have. People have come in with all sorts of documents saying that he or she has to go because of X emergency. The emergency is a marriage in the house. People have gone for destination weddings. So my request would be that, please be responsible. As much as, we want to be, and everybody, we want to be as helpful as possible. And let me tell you, if there is an emergency case, serious nature, we are only a phone call away. We have Mr. Hari Sharma, we have Mr. Suresh Sharma. We are ready to take your call day and night, 24/7. And if there is a death case or something which is of extremely urgent, Saturday or Sunday, please come to the consulate straight.
Truly appreciate, sir. And I just wanted to give, because as you introduced that about the Milan Cultural Association, is a volunteer-driven non-profit association of people from India living in the United States. Milan has various chapters and members across the United States of America. This program hosted by Milan, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, and Virginia chapters. Milan is a community service organization celebrating the traditional art and culture of India with mainstream America and our Indian diaspora. Milan believes in sharing and caring for the mainstream American issue, a community we live in, also support, collaborate, and participate in all the mainstream and Indian diaspora event to foster constructive partnership and interactive relationship with the local communities. So because I got a lot of questions and people are requesting that how frequently we can have this call, and people are really appreciating, saying thank you that this call was really helpful, summarized a lot of questions and clarified a lot of doubts. So sir, on behalf of the community, we would like to request that if we can have this call, such a call, more frequently during this pandemic. So that will be really greatly appreciated.
Wonderful. No, we are there to support you. We have my colleagues here who will be there as and when you call us. In fact, in the pre-pandemic times, we used to come to Connecticut and other places. We used to go out to service people on ground, in your home, in your hometown, or in your, so consular camps also we want to do, so that we can come and deal with all your issues in person. But short of that, given the limitations of time, we are ready for digital interaction as and when you call us.
Thank you, sir. Truly appreciate, and because I got a lot of feedback from the community, and so we are truly grateful to Honorable Counsel General Sri Randhir Kumar Jaiswalji and respected New York Consulate officer for sharing their thoughts, valuable information, and taking time to clarify various questions to help American Indian community. I would like to thank our Milan team from Massachusetts, New York, and volunteer chapter to join together for overwhelming response and making this today's session successful. And I would like to thank our audience. Those are most important for joining us on various platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Zoom, because we have already, and we will next time we will have 500 plus, like 1,000 users in the Zoom. And this recording, because this is a very critical and informative discussion, we have recorded this call. So I'm going to share that Milan Association. Please search in the YouTube and you can find this recording so that you can access this information again for any question or clarification. Thank you so much for joining today. Thank you so much. Again, appreciated this. Thanks a lot. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining.